Okay, I'm going to do something new. I'm going to make a podcast video for you to listen to when you have a broken heart and you're lying in bed. I know some people, including me, like to listen to a reassuring voice when they want to fall asleep when they're sad. And no, I'm not only going to tell you that you have to move on and do nice things with your friends. I'm going to acknowledge your misery and your pain and your broken heart until you fall asleep. And meanwhile, there's a little cat next to me who wants attention, so you might hear her meow every now and then. So a podcast especially for you to fall asleep to. And here we go. The begin tune is written by a friend. He saw me go through sadness and he wrote this song and he played it on the guitar, and up till today I cannot listen to it without crying because I think it's so freaking beautiful and it's so incredibly nice he did that for me. But anyway, a podcast for the broken heart, for the grieving. And when you are listening this, I know you are in pain. Raw, never-ending, full, consuming pain. And I'm just going to talk about heartbreak until you fall asleep. Somehow it's nice to know that others have been there. That you're not the only one, that others know what you go through. That others have felt the deepness of your pain. And depending on your attachment style, we all deal with grief differently. Avoidant attached, tend to suppress and look more forward to the future. And they may feel a bit sad, but they tend to move on more quickly. And although that sounds great, sometimes I wish I could suppress my emotions a little bit more. But of course it's not great to suppress, because suppressed emotions always come out. And they come out normally in physical symptoms like headaches. Me, myself, I'm more anxious attached and I'm not able to suppress my emotions. And the anxious grieve like no other. They grieve full blown, being in agony, rolling on the floor, that kind of grief. And grief is all about detaching. Well, we as humans are so wired to attach. We need to attach. We have to. It's healthy, it's normal, it's what we do. But detaching is not something we just do. We have to go through the whole detaching process. Mentally, physically, our nerve system is stressed out and we get all these kind of stress hormones and our body is in shock. And Mother Nature forces us She wants us to go look and reconnect with this person. Even when we don't want to, with a rational mind. Even if we know this person is not good for us, and even if we know that we are not compatible. Our nerve system does not care. Our heart does not care. Our attachment, survival instinct does not care at all what our rational mind wants. That's why you cannot reason yourself out of heartache. The heart wants what the heart wants. And when I was a bit younger, I went through a heartache so severe that I seriously thought that my heart would stop. Like having a heart attack, or at least get the broken heart syndrome. Because the broken heart syndrome is real. It's having all the symptoms of a heart attack, but actually not having a heart attack. It's called the broken heart syndrome. And what's very interesting is that Dr. Amour, funny name, in 1991 discovered that the heart has its own little brain. It's called intrinsic cardiac nerve system, the heart brain, and it's composed of approximately 40,000 neurons that are like neurons in the brain, meaning that the heart has its own nervous system. In addition, the heart communicates with the brain in various methods: neurologically, biochemically, biophysically, and energetically. The vagus nerve carries information from the heart to the brain. The heart sends more signals to the brain than vice versa. So the heart is not there just to pump the blood and therefore the oxygen around. It has a neural network or a little own brain. So the pain from the heart is real. And I'm not going to tell you to just move on and do great stuff with your friends, because we know that by now. We actually really know it doesn't help to, be in your bed for 8 months. We know that, but we're not there yet. And having people say, oh, you should do nice things with your friends and you should go out and you should date, when you're not there yet, it's actually really painful. It feels like you're doing something wrong. And please don't think you're doing grief wrong. You just follow the grief. It knows what to do. And if you're not ready to date, please by all means do not date. You will get there. Step by step. When grieving someone in a limerent episode, and I talk about my limerent episode a lot in my channel, it's what limerence is a state where you want to be with somebody in a situation there you cannot. And even if you are not together with this person, your nerve system is completely dysregulated. You can feel bellyache, sleeping problems, vomiting, hyperventilating, shaking. And I remember for the first 2 weeks when I had my heart broken, I could not even listen to music. I couldn't stand music. It was too emotional. I could not watch TV somehow. My body was so in distress. I could not take all the noise and the colors, but also the superficialness of watching TV shows. I just couldn't handle it. Which was pretty bad, because I really, really wanted a little escape from reality. And it took me a few weeks before I could binge Netflix again, which was a really great relief sometimes. everything, and I mean everything, reminded me of this person, even the color brown. There was no escape. It was full-blown grief with all the mind tricks that come with grief. Thinking that this will last forever. Not only thinking it, but knowing it. Even when I heal this, I will always have a hole in my heart. And of course, I did heal. I did get over it, but I did not want to get back with this person. Even when he wanted it years later, I was over it. I didn't want to get back with him, but I've always remembered the pain, and I never forgot the pain. And maybe it made me even a little bit more anxious along the way, because I know that I don't want that pain anymore, but the pain comes with life. I don't want to close up my heart. I don't close up my heart. If I like someone, and that's not very often, I go in fully. And of course, I got over it. I laughed again. I loved again. I was happy again. But it's just really hard to go through the grief process, and the longing and the rumination and the crying and the grayness of life and the physical pain. It feels as if a part of you is ripped from your body. And some people describe that as a hole in your chest, like if there's a part missing. And that's detachment. You see, for survival, it's really handy when detaching hurts. It should hurt. If it didn't feel painful, kids would just wander off without their parents, and parents would just forget their kids in the woods, and people forgot to pair bond and therefore reproduce, and we would fail miserably as a species. But the cruel thing is, Mother Nature does not care at how we feel when we are busy surviving and attaching. Our instinct, our lizard part of the brain, does not care if we cry for 6 months straight, if that is what it takes to not detach. The stress hormones are there for you to give some energy to go look for the person. We need other humans in our life. We're group animals. We don't have claws. We don't have super camouflage. We don't have super teeth. What makes us survive are other people. And of course, especially parents. On the other hand, Mother Nature also kind of realizes that death comes with life, and somehow we need to detach. And that's when grief comes in the picture. Slowly, reluctantly, with all kind of painful states, we will let go. Of course, going back and forward in the different stages of grief. And when you're listening to this, I feel for you. Even though I don't know you personally, we share common humanity. We share the same pain. We have the same pain. Therefore, your pain is my pain, and I feel for you. And I really hope you can grieve. It's the only way through the pain, and the pain comes in waves. It's not always going to be at this peak. There will be in the beginning short moments, and for me they came in the evening. When my nerve system calmed down, when my nerve nervous system gave up to struggling and protesting and fighting for a brief time when it was done battling the detaching for a few hours in the evening. And of course it all started over again in the night, during the night, and especially in the morning. In the morning when our cortisol, our stress hormones, are at its highest. And you just feel heavy just thinking about the day that you have to drag yourself through. And I hope you approach yourself with self-compassion. It's hard enough as it is. Approach yourself with soft kindness. Even stroke your own hair, stroke your arm, and talk softly to your body. Oh, poor body, you're so stressed out. I feel you, body. I feel you stressed out. And of course, this will not make you feel better instantly, but approaching yourself with self-compassion and mild kindness and acknowledge the grief and the pain is so much more healthy than being harsh for yourself. This is not the time to be harsh for yourself. I even want you to feel fucking sorry for yourself that you are carrying this amount of pain around every hour of every day. You should feel sorry for yourself. And I hope you're able to cry at your worst moments. The only consolation you have is that time moves forward, not backwards. Every second of the clock that's ticking away is good for you because time is your friend. And meanwhile, try to pamper yourself. Do you feel like going to bed? Then do it. Again, now is not the time to be hard on yourself. And the tantrum throwing nervous system takes a lot of energy. Grief takes a lot of energy, especially when you don't sleep that well and you have vivid dreams and the nights are just really difficult. I don't know which dreams were worse. The dreams where the person was gone or the dreams that we were happy. But I think the last one made me more upset when I woke up, and it could last for hours. It's all part of the process, and the process is painful, but it's healthy. And please don't stress too much if you feel like binging stuff in the beginning of grief, YouTube videos on grief, Netflix series. You can use this as a transitional phase. When you will start to feel better, you naturally will pick up normal activities and progress more into your normal life. Don't worry about doing something wrong in grief. You can follow the grief. The grief knows what to do and you can follow it. And the interesting thing about grief also is that grief brings out earlier grief. Because grief is a very patient waiter. It will wait its moment, and when something happens and you go in grief, all the other not enough grieved situations will also be grieved. So then you have grief on top of grief. And yes, that hurts. You even grieve, and I know this sounds fake, but it's not. You even grieve goes around in family history. Even in your DNA, unhealed grief is locked up in DNA. You grieve your ancestors' unhealed grief. And that sounds pretty unfair. Like, okay, I'm not only doing the work for myself, but maybe I'm also doing the grieving for generations back. I'm doing the healing work. On the other hand, you can also be a little bit proud of that. Yep, even though these people are not alive anymore, I'm still healing for my whole family system. I hope this podcast was long enough for you to get a little bit calm and feel like you can fall asleep. I'm really curious because this is really an experiment. If there are people out there who are going to use this to listen to, and if you want more of these podcast videos, please let me know because I love to make them. And if I can reach only one person, then my mission with this podcast is kind of accomplished, because I would really like to make a difference and acknowledge the pain and tell you that you're not alone. Millions of people around the planet, around the earth at this point are also crying, are also hurting, and are also laying in bed feeling really bad. It's our common humanity. It's what makes us alive. And I know that's a cliche, but it's also really true cliche. It's really true. If you have anything to say about this podcast, please leave a comment on my YouTube channel, because it's really useful information. And like I said, I would really like to hear your opinion. If you want more of these, if this helps you, if I have to make them longer, for example, or maybe shorter, or if there is a certain subject that you want me to talk about, leave a comment, please. And for now, I wish you a calm night of sleep. And I'm going to hear you, or you are going to hear me in the next video, I hope. Thank you. Good night.